Very good afternoon, students. Myself, Dr. Vishwas Grover, Assistant Professor, Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College. So, in the continuation of this non-destructive testing, which we were discussing in the previous classes, we have covered the first of all the introduction of this NDT processes, non-destructive testing processes, and then the differentiation between destructive and non-destructive processes. And after that, we have studied in the second unit the some penetrant tests like liquid penetrant test or magnetic particle inspection test. Okay, so these were the things which we have covered up till now. Then next is the radiographic methods. Next are the radiographic methods. So, what are the radiographic methods? Radiographic methods are like radiographic methods is one of the NDT processes, non-destructive testing processes, which are used, okay, which are used for this. And so we will start from here. First of all, in introduction, I would say in many ways radiography has changed the title from the early days of its use. We still capture a shadow image on film using similar procedures and processes. Technicians were used in the late 1800s. Okay, today however, we are able to generate images of higher quality and great sensitivity through the use of higher quality films with the large variety of film grain sizes. Okay, so with the help of this radiographic technique, we are able to generate the images of higher quality and greater sensitivity through the use of higher quality films with a variety of film grain sizes. Okay, then next is the film processes. Film processes has evolved to an automated state. In the previous time, processing of film was there manually. Now it has been automated. So, film processes has evolved to an automated state, producing more consistent film quality by removing manual processing variables. Then electronics and computers allow the technicians to now capture the images digitally. Okay. The use of the filmless radiography provides a means of capturing and data. Okay. Now the technological advantages have provided industry with with smaller, lighter and very portable equipment that produce the high quality X-rays. Okay. While the process has changed little, the technology has evolved, allowing the radiography to be widely used in numerous areas of inspection. So, in radiography is widely used in numerous areas of inspection. Now, the radiography has seen expanded usage in industry to inspect not only the welds and casting, but to radiographically inspect the items such as airbags and canned food products. So, radiography is used also in these areas to inspect items such as airbags and canned food items. Now, radiography has found use in the metallurgical material inspection testing. Okay, so this is one of the advantage or usage of this metallurgical material. So, this is the nature of penetrating radiation, the frequency waves per second which falls over this, and from lower to the higher it goes to the other side, and the frequency waves per second energy of one proton, that is EV. Okay. And this is the electromagnetic spectrum, that is the 700 Newton meter to 400 Newton meter. Okay. Then infrared UV, microwaves, and hard X-rays, soft X-rays, gamma rays, and the spectrum goes from this radio waves, microwaves, infrared to the hard X-rays, soft X-rays and gamma rays, and to the UV radiations. So, this is the diversification of this UV radiation or the electronic spectrum from 700 Newton meter to 400 Newton meter. Now, the electronic spectrum, X-rays and the gamma rays differ only in their source of origin. Okay. X-rays are produced by an X-ray generator and gamma radiation is a product of radioactive atoms. Okay, so this is the difference between the production or the source of the origin between the X-rays and the gamma rays, and they are both a part of the electromagnetic spectrum. X-rays and the gamma rays are both the part of the electromagnetic spectrum. Then X-rays and gamma rays cannot be seen, felt or heard. They possesses no charge and no mass, and therefore are not influenced by electrical and magnetic fields and will generally travel in straight lines. Okay. However, they can be diffracted, bent in a manner similar to the light. Okay. They can be diffracted, bent in a manner similar to the light. Now, the properties of the X-rays and the gamma rays, they are not detected by the human senses. Okay. X-rays and gamma rays are not detected by the human senses, cannot be seen, heard, felt, and etc., and they travel in straight lines at the speed of the light. Okay, and their paths cannot be changed by the electrical or the magnetic fields. These are the properties of the X-rays and the gamma rays, and their paths cannot be changed by the electrical or the magnetic fields, and they can be diffracted to a small degree at interfaces between two different materials. They pass through matter until they have a chance encounter with an atomic particle. Okay. Their degree of penetration depends on their energy and the matter they are traveling through. Okay, and the matter they are traveling through. They have enough energy to ionize matter and can damage or destroy the living cells. Okay, so they have enough energy to ionize matter and can damage or destroy the living cells. Now, the X-rays are produced when their high speed electrons strike a metal target in a highly evacuated glass enclosure, that is vacuum, which ranges from the 10⁻⁹ to -13 mm per mercury size. Okay, and a metallic filament is sealed inside the enclosure, which is heated by a current of a few amperes to produce the electrons at its surface. Okay, and at the other end of the glass enclosure, a high atomic number metal target is sealed on which the fast moving electrons strike. Okay, on which the fast moving electrons get strike, and to accelerate those electrons, high voltage of a few thousand volts is applied between the filament, that is cathode, and the metal target, that is anode. Okay, so this is the arrangement of producing the X-rays. Okay, low voltage power supply goes from this cathode to and will strike to the target. Okay, and this is the electron beam, and this is the filament through which this gets strike. Okay, and this strike over this target, and then there becomes a terminal of the low voltage power supply to the high voltage, that is anode, and there is a supply between that is high voltage power supply, which joins or gets target with the low voltage power supply to the anode. Okay, and this is the focusing cup, which gets which concentrate or accelerates this filament, and this is the focal point over which the target get striked, and this is the X-ray beam. This is the X-ray beam and the tube envelope. This is the X-ray beam and the tube envelope. So, this is the arrangement for producing the X-rays. Okay. Now, the X-rays, if the applied voltage is V and the charge of electron is E, the kinetic energy imparted to the electrons is VE. Okay. So, kinetic energy imparted to the electrons can be defined as the VE. Then, if the mass of the electrons is m and the acquired velocity is v, then the kinetic energy of the electron is equal to the half mv square, that is VE. So, kinetic energy imparted to the electrons is VE. Okay. And then electrons approaching the target lose their energy in one or more of the following ways, that are cathode electrons interact with the free electrons of the target atom and in the procedure of their energy, and which is converted into heat, and the formula can be written like this: lambda is equal to Hc over E V minus V dash of the to the high velocity to the lower frequency. The corresponding wavelength is splitted into X-rays is given by this equation. here h is the Planck's constant, c is the velocity of light, and v minus v dash into E is the part of the electron's energy converted into heat or the X-rays. Okay. So, this is the arrangement. Then next is the cathode electrons with sufficient energy may reach and be stopped by the heavy nucleus of the target. Okay. Cathode electrons with sufficient energy may reach and be stopped by the heavy nucleus of the target. Then in the process, the entire energy of the electron is converted into X-rays of the wavelength as given by the lambda minimum, that is the Hc over Ve, where Hc is the Planck's constant 12395, that is the constant, okay, and the V is the voltage. So, its value is in the angstrom. So, substituting the value of Hc and E, angstrom is the angstrom unit. So, this wavelength is minimum corresponding to the this size. So, this wavelength is minimum corresponding to the size given, and it may also be happen that the cathode electrons knocks out one of the orbital electrons. It may be also possible that this cathode electrons knocks out one of the orbital electrons of the target atom, and the atom is subsequently turning to its N. Okay. Then next is the normal energy state when one of the electrons from an outer orbit falls into the vacancy. So, this is the normal energy state when one of the electrons from an outer orbit falls into the vacancy. Then in this process, the X-rays of a definite wavelength characteristics of the target material are emitted out. Okay. And this is called as the characteristic radiation. This is called as the characteristic radiation. These processes occur simultaneously and gives the best results. Okay. And it may also happen knock out one target atom and returning to its wavelength. Okay. So, this is the intensity and this is the wavelength. Okay. Then this is the lambda minimum to the lambda maximum. Okay. Wavelength get increased with the intensity. So, normal energy state when one of the electrons from an outer orbit falls into the vacancy. So, in this process the X-rays of a definite wavelength characteristics of the target material are emitted. So, this is called as the characteristic radiation. These processes occur simultaneously and give the best result. So, now next is the effect of the tube voltage and the current on the intensity of the X-rays. Okay. So, we will study in this session what is the effect of the tube voltage and the current on the intensity of X-rays. So, X-ray spectrum is significantly influenced by the change of the voltage. When the voltage gets changes, the X-ray spectrum get changes. So, it is significantly affected by this voltage between the electrons of the X-ray tube. Then increased voltage leads to the increase in generation of shorter wavelength compared to those that were present at low voltage. Okay. Also, the intensity of the X-ray beam increases significantly and is given by the relation, that is I is equal to kV square. Okay. Where k is the constant. Okay. Where k is the constant. So, I is equal to kV square, where k is a constant. The intensity also increases as the tube current increases. The intensity also increases as the tube current gets increases. So, tube current is the current that flows between the cathode and the anode and should not be confused with the filament current, which heats the filament to produce the electrons at its orbit. Okay. So, this is the diagram or the effect of change in voltage and the tube current on the X-ray spectrum. So, here we can see that effect of change of voltage with the intensity as the wavelength get increases. So, intensity get first increases with the high voltage, and then after that with the additional wavelength it goes down or with the low voltage. So, this is the for the high voltage it makes a peak and with the low voltage it forms a spectrum like this. Okay. So, next is the effect of change in the tube current, effect of change in the tube current. So, this is also the same, but this threshold limit is not there, which is earlier present in this. So, these are the effect of change in voltage and tube current and the X-ray spectrum. First of all, this is the effect of change in voltage, and another one is the effect of change in the tube current. So, this is the basic difference. Next is the radioactivity. So, this from this radioactivity we will discuss in the next class, and will sum up here with in this class. Okay, thank you so much.